Thinking about moving to Pasco County? Well, you are not alone. This area has been booming for a while now. People absolutely love all the new construction, our communities with resort-style amenities, and even sometimes better prices than our adjoining counties.
And we've helped hundreds of people move to Pasco County, and we are going over a list of things we think everyone should know before calling this area home.
All right, let's kick off the things that you need to know by starting with the fact that a lot of these master plan communities, which Pasco has a ton of, have sometimes 5, 6, even 10 builders within the neighborhood. And within that are different building standards, different years that they're constructed, different styles, just different almost everything.
Yeah, like you could have one home that has block on block construction, and a street over, it's a home that was built 5 years ago that has different quality construction and upgrades inside. Builders also change what they offer with different phases. So one phase might have certain upgrades being offered, and then the next phase they might upgrade it to, for example, offering a tankless water heater that the first phase didn't have. So all of these things can impact not only your comfort and lifestyle, but also your energy bills and resale value.
Now, Pasco is not only popular because of master plan communities, but also popular because there's a lot of no HOA communities around as well. But understand the trade-off. With no HOA, yes, no rules, yes, freedom, yes, all of that, but that also means no standards, no deed restrictions, nobody telling the neighbor next door, hey, your 4-foot high lawn needs to get cut, that RV out front needs to get moved. All those things are trade-offs of not having somebody enforcing the rules.
Now, on the flip side, no HOA communities does have its positives. Keith already mentioned some of them, but you definitely have a lot more independence living somewhere without an HOA. You can do things like adding a guest house easier. You don't have to get approval to change the paint color on the outside of your house. And you can also have maybe some livestock in your yard. If you want to have chickens or horses, you have those options if you're not in an HOA.
Now, whether you're in a planned community or one of those nice non-HOA community, one thing that you should really check is if you have a, let's call it either like a pond view, conservation, or a wooded area behind and you've fallen over that space, make sure you check what could go in there in the future.
Yeah, so just because it's trees now doesn't mean that's what is always going to be there. So make sure to check, do your due diligence and check to see what the zoning is. We've sold a home before where the trees behind the house was actually private land. So that private homeowner can, build a home there one day if they choose to. Or it could be zoned for commercial usage, and you could end up having Publix in your backyard or even major roads going in that treed area. So make sure that you and your real estate agent are looking into what that land is really going to be used for in the future.
All right, moving the conversation along to probably one of the hottest topics or the most questioned topics in Pasco County, which is the CDD fees that you see on a lot of these communities. Now, CDD stands for the Community Development District, which is essentially a bond that the builders took out to build the infrastructure for the community. It's done into two parts. The first part is the bond, which is typically 20 to 30 years, and the second part is the operations and maintenance.
So one thing to keep in mind is that the bond portion will eventually get paid off, depending if it's a 20-year bond or 30-year bond or somewhere in between. That bond portion will be paid off, but that operation and maintenance portion will always be there. And a lot of homeowners don't realize this, that they're always going to have some sort of CDD fee. Now, the goal is that that CDD fee will go down once the bond portion is paid off, but we've seen communities personally in Pasco County where by the time that bond is paid off, the community is in need of some fixing up and some maintenance items. So they basically just kept the CDD the same cost for everyone. So they had more funds to pay for those maintenance items that due to be done.
And what I like to also tell my clients a lot is the more amenities and great things you see those parks, the clubhouses, multiple community pools, and those are covered by the CDD. Those are always going to be there and always going to have costs to maintain them. Insurance always comes up when we're looking at people moving into the area because the reality is Florida insurance has been crazy. But it's not just about flooding. Specifically, Pasco is a little bit higher and more inland, so we don't have nearly as many flooding areas as some of our neighboring counties like Pinellas do have.
But homeowners insurance is still a topic that's been in the news the past couple of years because of the rising rates in Florida, and Pasco is no exception to that. So some of the items that have really been driving insurance rates in Florida are things like the type of construction, the roof age and condition, if it's a block home versus wood frame, and any prior claims, even if it was with a previous owner of the home. So two of the exact model homes in the same neighborhood could have very different insurance rates depending on all of these things. So make sure to do your due diligence when purchasing a home and get insurance quotes at the beginning so you know what to expect.
All right, the last part about fees is actually the dreaded property taxes. And I will say, as a realtor, this is one of the things I see the most misunderstood and the most misinformed, for lack of a better term. So often people see a listing, see the property tax bill from the previous owner, and will go, oh wow, those property taxes are really low. Keep in mind in Florida that when a home is purchased, it's reassessed off of the new value. So if the previous home was bought for significantly less and was homesteaded, the taxes on the next year of your home ownership may jump up quite a bit.
And another thing to keep in mind if you're looking at new construction is that the first year you own your home, the property tax bill will be based on just the land value of the property. And then that second year, the property taxes are going to jump quite a bit because that's when it will take into account the actual home on the land. And a lot of people don't plan for that, and they'll get a nasty gram in the mail from their mortgage company saying that they need to put more money in their escrow account to cover the difference.
People moving to Pasco often come up here in part for some of the best schools in all of Tampa Bay. But be careful, those school maps may change year by year.
Yeah, since Pasco is a growing county, they are constantly building new schools in the area, and with that comes rezoning for schools. We've seen entire neighborhoods rezoned. So you could be zoned for an A-rated school this year and then rezoned next year. So if this is really important to you, having an A-rated school, definitely work with your agent to check on the history of the home and what schools it's been zoned for, how close it is to the current schools that it's zoned for, and then know the likelihood of that happening for that specific home that you might be interested in.
All right, now let's wrap this up by talking about something I don't think anybody really considers when you're doing a neighborhood, or not often when I am helping people, which is really understanding the flow of a neighborhood.
Yeah, some things you'll want to look at that you may not even think about are whether you can access things like a supermarket or restaurants without leaving the neighborhood. If there's a traffic light at the entrance of the neighborhood, are there sidewalks if you have kids that you want to be able to ride bikes on? Just little things like that to definitely take into consideration when deciding where to move.
We absolutely adore Pasco. We live here, we work here, we're raising our family here, but that doesn't mean that all these things we talked about aren't really important for you to know.
So we suggest looking beyond the listing photos and find out what it's really like to live here, not just to move here.
If you would like our help, we are local real estate agents. Our team would love to help you buy, sell, or just get some more information on the area. Feel free to reach out to us. Contact@JamisonTeamTampaBay.com. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.